Hey everyone, today in the Art Lab we're going to be taking a look at this glass bottle which I had attempted to put resin across, and for some reason the resin just didn't stick to it. Now I think there's a number of reasons for this, but I think it's actually the resin itself. So I had a similar experience if you go and have a look at my resin on plastic, where the resin colour looked really good to start with, but over the time just drained off. And this similar thing has happened with this glass bottle. So we've got a really nice covering at the end, but along the sides it's just really run down. Now this video is actually two parts because I also bought some cheap resin from AliExpress. So we're going to not only attempt to use this cheap resin to see if that's going to work on this glass bottle, but also try to repair this glass bottle so that we've got resin that sticks as well. So it could be a complete disaster and we end up no better off than what we are today, or it may work and we give this resin a good rating because it was nice and cheap from China, but that doesn't mean it's going to work properly. So anyway, let's dive in and we'll see what we can do to resurrect this glass bottle. So the first thing we're going to do for this bottle is to give it a bit of a sand, give us something for the new resin to key into. So we'll use 120 grit sandpaper on this and we'll give that a bit of a sand down and then a wipe off with some isopropyl alcohol. Right, so I'm all geared up now to deal with this resin. This resin is a no brand name resin from China, so it's really hard to know what the quality is like. It's a 1:1 ratio and I'm going to be using that to mix up, and hopefully it's thick enough to stick to this glass. It's had a bit of the sand and I've wiped it off with some isopropyl alcohol, so we'll give it a try and see what this resin is like. And now it's time for the results. Did the resin this time stick to the glass? Well, that's a great big fail. So here's our resin bottle. I must say it did stick a little bit better than last time, so this is a second coat, but once again this is a fail. So I need to really find that resin which is going to be really thick and which dries quickly so that it all doesn't eventually run off the bottle. I mean, this looks pretty cool anyway because it's a bit translucent, but it's not the effect that I was going for. A lot of you would have, like myself, seen Mixed Media Girl here on YouTube, and she does a amazing series of videos where she's pouring resin across glass vases, and my glass vase unfortunately does not look anything like hers. So it's all about experimenting, and you have to fail before you work out what works. I've now tried two different types of resin and they've both failed. So now it's on to trying a third time. So I'm going to pick up a different type of resin from a supplier, which is supposed to be a fast drying resin, and we'll see if that makes a difference, and I'll report back on how that went. I did also use a drip tray to catch any excess resin, and here it is here. Now this was quite cool. This was just a silicone lid that I got off of Temu, and let's just pull that out of the mold and see what it looks like. I think it should look quite cool because this has a bit of a pattern on it. Out of failure does come success. This is pretty cool. I like how it's turned out. It's great to have the pattern on here. Hopefully you agree. The colors are pretty cool as well, just with those whites, yellows and oranges. And I'm just going to give that edge a trim up. I've got my handy tool. If you don't have one of these for either work with 3D prints or with resin. It's really handy. Effectively, you can just go right around the edge and take off any of those sharp burrs. So it's an easy way to do that, and you just, instead of sanding, you're just using this tool to take off those sharp edges. Anyway, thanks for tuning in for this episode. We've got a bit more work to do to find the correct resin that's going to stick to glass, and until we do so, we're just going to keep experimenting here in the art lab. So until next time, keep creating and see you back in the lab.